Welcome to another Triathlon Podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is another Triathlon Podcast. Enjoy the ride.
We are back again with another triathlon podcast presented by Mana Endurance, a place where we dive into the swim, bike, and run of it all, and we're going to have a couple other interesting insights as well, a little bit into the world of cycling, I'm sure, because it has been an epic Vuelta. I'm your host, Jenna Sarah, and joined as always by Josh and Pierré. We are going to jump into some fun this week. We'll always have our WTF Moment of the Week and social media post, as well as the race results and updates, including our own racing and training. Slightly less interesting than some of the pro crazy performances going on recently, but you'll hear from the average of the training groups here. But that's not all. We are going to jump into a bit of the Vuelta recap, but we're going to have two amazing guests join us today. We'll be talking to Parker Spencer, who works with USA Triathlon's Project Podium, and we'll also be chatting with Nic Chase. He's the team manager for the RTS Warriors for Super League Triathlon, and as you know, we've been geeking out on the Super League Triathlon a bit too, so it'll be great to get his insights. And check up on MG, see if he's doing okay, because he was a little fired up after the last one. So we will get into the nitty-gritty of the elite development, how Super League is a part of that, and hear a bit more of their race tactics as they head towards Malibu. Let's jump in. We've got some insider info, hot takes, and a little bit of fun. We will kick things off, though, with our own training and racing. How's it going, Josh? How's the training going these days?
It was kind of a pullback week, or was supposed to be a little bit of a pullback week after the marathon, and tried to kind of spin it out of the first few days and rested Monday, took that off after the marathon, but I felt good. The compression boots and everything recovery-wise came around and started feeling good and adding a little bit of time to some of my workouts, but low zones, like heart rate's really low, zone 1, zone 2 stuff. And then got lucky enough to spend our third anniversary weekend down in New York with my wife, and we got in a whole bunch of Peloton classes. And once you get there and you get into a studio and take a class live, things start to elevate. So had a lot of fun. Took a lot of classes, took like 9 classes over 2.5 days. So
taking it easy?
Yeah, not much at all. Starting with a 7:30 a.m. 90-minute power zone endurance ride, which the instructor, Matt Wilpers, is a big triathlete as well. And he's got a whole group of coaches and stuff that work for him. But he picked me out because it was my 1200th ride.
Oh,
so
wow.
he had some background, and he's like, yeah, I stalk your Instagram account. So we started talking about like nutrition and things like throughout the whole ride and how to handle longer rides. And he kept like looking at me and saying, Vern, right? Confirm that that's how we do it. And he was like, I don't know if he's listened to the podcast or not, but you're the coach. What are you doing looking at me for advice? So it was kind of cool. But great weekend. And I felt great. I feel good today. Recovery scores are pretty good. So I've got just under 6 weeks now for the next marathon, and a lot of strength training and going forward and speed work. I did a really hard run yesterday, which I didn't know how I was going to feel. And my heart rate stayed low, way lower than it was at the marathon. And I was pushing speeds faster than I was. So back to training. Here we go.
Excellent. Right back into it. And congratulations, 1,200 rides. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a good number.
Awesome. How about you, Pierré? How's life? How's training? What's going on with you?
Hey guys, I was just thinking now that I couldn't know how many rides I've done.
Oh,
that's very handy to have, 1,200 rides spot on. So yeah, good on you, Josh. But yeah, I wouldn't know how many rides I've done. But now I'm curious. I'm not gonna count all of them, but maybe take a dive into training pics and see until when do I get tired of counting. But
Sure, a few over the
no,
years.
it's been yeah, yeah, it's been more than five, that's for sure.
At least.
At least five. No, training's been going well. It's race week for me, so just getting everything ready for traveling. Packing the bike, making sure my nutrition is set correctly. This week I'm a bit more like careful with everything I'm eating, like not red meat, nothing major that might get my stomach in a weird position for race days. So just managing all that and excited to race on Sunday.
Awesome. Now remind the audience, what are you racing on Sunday?
So I'm racing 70.3 Augusta in Georgia this Sunday. So if you're over there, come say hi. And if you see me suffering out there, come say hi as well.
Yeah, just wanted to remind everyone because we got so many 70.3 races going on all the time. So if you want to follow Pierré, go give him a look there. But you hear like people are racing on the weekend and you're like, there's like 8 races going on. Where, who, what? So,
Yeah. There's a lot of races going on.
we're in the thick of it, which is always surprising to me because it's around that, that world championship season and stuff. But it almost seems like all of the racing is at this time, world championship or not. So it's just crazy how packed this triathlon schedule is getting. Never mind there's age groupers, obviously, but even the pros, it's getting stacked up.
And they're taking.
Oh yeah, it's jam-packed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny here in Canada, it's like the leaves are falling, it's getting too cold, you wouldn't want to swim in the open water, so it's totally foreign that people are like, yeah, we're just going to go race outside. It's like, no, we're done here. So lots of sauna time in my future because there's not going to be much riding outside the next little while here. It's definitely starting to turn pretty quickly.
And you've got some rides to do, but you're getting closer to that taper, though.
Getting there, yeah. 4 weeks out now. Had a week off-ish. Was meant to do more, but didn't. I was over in California and LA for a bit last week for some work stuff. And I had planned on getting more runs in, but it turned into one of those trips where it was kind of like balancing out, yeah, there's work. Yeah, I should get some training in. But there was also some fun interactions, hang out with people, good food, good wine kind of thing. And honestly, after 10 years in the sport, it's like, you know what? Those opportunities come up, have a good time, enjoy where you are for a bit. I'm probably going to do that. So it was minimal training, lots of sunshine, a few good cocktails, got some fresh legs by the time I got back. And last weekend just smashed out a ton of time on the bike. And it felt absolutely awesome, which it wouldn't have if I didn't have such fresh legs. But ended up putting in about 11 hours on the trainer over 2 days with a run and strength session too. So it was good just to jump right back into the groove, but get some long work like that and just have it feel amazing. Like, yeah, it probably would have been better to get the bigger training week overall, but for the head, it's kind of nice to be able to go do that and just feel wicked the whole time. So the countdown to Kona is on 4 weeks away now, which, wow. But I'll be headed over there in about 3 weeks and get a bit of time in the sun. And until then, right after this, I'm going to be hopping in the sauna and pretty much every day until early for Kona. So I got to get the heat work in because it is going to be better than here.
I was going to ask you, Jenna.
Mm.
Yeah. Like I was going to ask, how do you manage like being from, Canada and it's cold and especially in the thick of it, prepping for Kona? How do you deal with the weather and heat acclimatization and all of that? Because a lot of listeners are in that position as well.
Totally. And you know what? I think for next week, I'm going to put together a little bit of a Kona prep, maybe little segment about it, because I know we have a lot more women going to Kona than ever have before, and a lot of them won't have experienced that heat and humidity. For me, it's a lot of like my rides this weekend. it was funny. I just got the Wahoo Headwind, the nice fan that like speeds up as you work harder. I was so excited about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do some heat prep. So basically I try to ride for as long as I can without any fan in there. And in the off season, I do a lot of riding without a fan on. If there's any intensity involved, then I definitely use the fan because the goal there is fitness more than anything. But with kind of the long aerobic rides, I'll try to ride without a fan or ride with a long sleeve jersey on the trainer just to get a little bit more of that heat prep. Outside of that, I'm lucky enough to have a like little infrared sauna here. So I'm spending a lot of time in the infrared sauna, basically staying in there as long as I can until it gets horribly uncomfortable and your head is screaming at you to get out. That's a good point to get out.
Yeah, till your heart rate is like 160 sitting down.
Yep, the highest I've gotten so far is 145. That was the point where I was like, okay, nope, done. Body's done.
No, thank you.
Yeah. But the other thing that's a good substitute if you don't have a sauna or in addition to is actually hot baths. It's something that's so easy that not a lot of athletes have tried because you're being immersed in like very hot water. It doesn't take long. You won't be able to stay in there for a long time. But that's something that I didn't know had heat adaptation protocols, but really helped me in a hot race of the world champs. And it's just the same idea, getting your body temperature up, getting used to being in that hot or that hotter temperature, starting to sweat sooner, and almost working on the central governor a little bit where your body's like, okay, at this point, I die. So I'm going to give you this massive buffer so that you don't get to that point where you die. But you can do a little bit of central governor training, getting used to the heat, just showing your body it's okay to get a little closer to that point, which sounds kind of morbid, but you're just kind of teaching your body it's okay, you have more room to go in there. And it's, just doing a combination of those things. I'm able to stay in the sauna longer and longer. And it seemed to work well last time for Kona. Now I ended up puking up salt water most of the bike ride, so didn't have a great day there, but I didn't feel hot. So, and the energy lab felt fine. So something worked there.
Taking the positives there.
Right. Hopefully this time less swallowing seawater, less puking, and it'll be a better day. I'm definitely not quite as fit as I was last time I went to Kona, but if I don't puke the whole time, it'll be a much better day.
And you never know. I mean, you've learned, even though you have these moments now, the further into your career, the less fit you get. And we can talk about what ended up happening in Maryland too, right? Where'd the 14-year-old come from? You learn things and how to adjust to how your body's feeling. So I'm sure when you get to Kona, it might not be how you want it to train going into such a big event, but at the same time, you're going to be able to handle the adversity a lot better.
And that's just it. Why I love Ironman more than any other distance is there's physical fitness, but then there's that mental aspect to it.
Yeah.
And it can make or break you. Like to get this Kona qualification, I suffered so badly because again, I wasn't as fit as I've been for Ironman previously. But just when you really go in hungry for it, like just really wanting it, you can push your body to some pretty crazy levels. So whatever I have on race day, I am going to get 100%, whatever that is. That's the goal.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, let's jump in. As I mentioned in the intro, we have some guests coming on. So we're going to roll through our usual segments and then chat a little bit more about USA Triathlon, the development stream, and of course, Super League. Let's get started though. Actually, let's talk about some race results first, see what's going on this weekend, because we had so much happening this weekend. It seemed like everyone was racing everywhere once again. We will hit a couple of the highlights. Pierré, what's going on in the racing world?
Yeah, we had a lot of races and all over the world. Like we had Maryland, we had, I think, Germany, we had the UK, but the main one was Ironman Maryland.
Yeah.
Who we had a bunch of mono athletes racing and with Jason Paul, on the pro side, which I'm sure Jenna is eager to talk about that. But it was an interesting race actually because first of all, the swim got delayed because of some weird conditions, and then all of a sudden it was not a complete Ironman distance for the age groupers, but for the pros, it was a different distance, so it was just all very weird, and times were super fast. So yeah, it was a very interesting race, and we had on the men's side Michael Weiss taking the win, then Canada's Jason Paul and Sam Long coming in third place with former multiple Ironman Maryland winner Cody Beals coming in fourth place. So that was interesting. And on over the women's side, it was also a very brutal battle on the girls' side, and this was a bit more spread out than the men's. We had 11 minutes from first place to second place, and the winner, it's American Alice Alberts coming in first place, then another Canadian in second place, Melanie McQuaid, and Chloe Lane from Australia coming in third place. But yeah, it wasn't as tight as the men's race, but also nonetheless awesome racing.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so good to see Jason up there. He's definitely, I've known him for years. He's kind of local here. And it was funny, just had like an Instagram memory pop up, but we did an on photo shoot for a local triathlon store that we were both sponsored by 5 years ago kind of thing. So he's definitely had a few years dealing with injury and just not quite getting the results he wanted. So it was wicked to see him put it all together here and yeah, have an incredible result. And you know what? I'm telling you, there's some magic in that mono tri suit. Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. It's very fast and very aerodynamic and hydrodynamic and photogenic. So if you want to look good in the pictures, just make sure you get one of those.
There we go. And you know what's even crazier too is, so Canadians were all over the results this weekend, which is fun for me. But Melanie McQuaid, she is 50 years old and still racing at this level. Like that is mind-blowing to me. It was very, very cool to see.
Yeah, it just goes to show how triathlon is a noble sport and how you can do it for the rest of your life if you do it properly and don't take any shortcuts and do it for the fun and love of the sport. You can basically do it till the day you die.
Yeah, and I know there's a bit of controversy with the winner here on the men's side with Michael Weiss. He was banned for doping for 2 years, a number of years ago. So that always opens up the conversation. Do we forgive and forget? Do we believe he's clean? Like there's definitely going to be a lot of questions after that, which sucks, especially because recently it seems, we had that big doping scandal in the pro field. And then there are a few athletes where people are asking more questions and wondering about results or not quite believing results. So it kind of, I know that one's a tough one for me. I think if you intentionally do something like that to give yourself a performance benefit against your fellow athletes, I think you've just broken all the rules of fair play and you should sport. Like, to be completely honest. I know people are like, oh, forgive, move on. But if you've done it once, I don't know. Would you do it again? Like that one's a tough one for me.
Especially as he gets older and is still competing at big events like that. And I know it wasn't a huge men's pro field and you had the guys like Sam and Jason trying to get their qualifications and things like that. But it seemed weird after he won that it was more about Jason's run and overtaking Sam and Sam getting on the podium but not getting his Kona spot and less about Michael actually winning the race. And it just didn't have that same normal appeal that it would for the champion of a bigger race like that.
I think it's almost like a silent protest from the triathlon community, right? Like we don't put his name out there so much. We're not going to say anything negative, but we're not going to, boost him up, I guess.
Yeah, that's a very good point. A couple of years ago, I blanked on his name, but the Swiss athlete, coached by the Blues. Oh my God, just retired. Jan van Berkel. Jan van Berkel. There we go. He posted something about it because Michael Weiss comes from a cycling background and he got a ban on cycling because of using PEDs. But he said something like, "I cannot tell you if he's clean or not, but I think consequences need to be put in place for a former doper. So
Mhm.
let's think that he's clean and he's competing rightfully in the sport. So if he wins something, let's just not, go crazy about it on social media
Yeah.
and just put it as it is. That guy won, good on him, and move on because that's still like a protest or
Yeah.
like letting him know that it's not okay what he did and that he's going to live with the consequences for the rest of his life.
Mhm.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
Sam had won, we know that this would have been a big deal. There would have been so much more
Oh,
made
yeah.
about this
Yeah.
race, and wow,
Yeah.
he qualified, and he didn't even race Ironman all year, and didn't train for it, and here he is, and shows up. But it was,
Yeah.
for him too. Like when I saw that the swim had been shortened, I was like, oh boy,
Game on.
he locked it. He's done. He's good. And when you see Sam Long 7-minute swim, you're like, he had to be. I think
I'll take that.
They knocked it down to what, like 980 meters, like less than
Yeah.
1,000 meters. So I mean,
Yeah.
for him, he must have been ecstatic, and he had a great bike. And they went to the front. He went to the front in the run for a while, and then he just started locking up. It looks like so.
Yeah,
They went the not
Yeah.
ready for Ironman training. But yeah, you would have seen a whole completely different PR campaign from Ironman around that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
completely different there.
And on the women's side, Alice is now a 2-time champion this year. I mean, like out of nowhere to winning Lake Placid and now Maryland.
Yeah, exactly. 2-time in a super short frame of time.
Yeah, so she was, and it was an impressive win because she kind of walked away with it, whereas the men's race was pretty close. But for her, she's clearly locked in this season and late season. Lake Placid now July, and then now into September. Two races in a couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. It just amazes me how I have a theory actually. Jenna, I mean, you've witnessed this. You know how on races women tend to blow up less than men because you guys are better at pacing?
Yeah, definitely. There's different dynamics in the women's race at the pro level than there is the men's. The men's, it seems to be more, they all kind of try to stay in the pack, stay on top of each other, and make sure they're in it for the run at the cost sometimes of blowing up. With the women's field, it's often a lot more kind of spread out, so we don't see those cases near as much.
Yeah, I also believe that women tend to recover faster from a long distance race because they manage their pacing better, therefore they can race at a higher level sooner, just like we had with this athlete.
Yeah, and there's some physiological aspects to it too, with like less body mass, to be perfectly honest. It takes a little less pounding on the body
Yeah.
when you are doing some of these longer distances, and that's where we start to see some a big change in the amount of time between the men and women as the race goes on longer, because we have a little bit less of that breakdown, so we can keep going and keep holding on to form. That's why some of those like crazy ultra runs, the margin between the men and women is a lot smaller kind of the longer you go, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
never really thought
Interesting.
about that on that whole. I mean, you might see like ligament injuries in cutting sports and things like that, but when it comes to joint injuries and things like that, you're not getting that same amount of pounding usually.
Yeah, not as much, unless you get into where we do see the issues is that kind of red syndrome, like not underfueling and not having the bone density needed. If there are signs of underfueling, that is something that it happens to men as well, but is typically more predominant in women when it comes to training and endurance sports. Although now the stories I hear from the cycling world from the cyclists, I don't know how true it is that it's not happening with much.
Not healthy.
But yeah, that's where we kind of start to run into more of those issues. But healthy and fueled, it's interesting to see those ultra runners. There's just a little less breakdown with less body mass.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into some more race results here. I know there was a ton going on this weekend. What else?
Yeah. Right. So we had 70.3 Michigan, and the Canadians are just taking over the world now, eh? we had a nail biter of a race from on the men's side. We had Jackson Laundry taking the win. He and then in second place was Lionel Sanders, a fan favorite, and he was 10 seconds off of Jackson. He managed to have the fastest run, but it wasn't enough to close the gap on Jackson. And on third place, we had Lionel's training buddy Trevor Foley coming on third place, and Australian Sam Appleton. So good on Appo having a very good race just after 70.3 Worlds. So it seems like he's bouncing back from that race. Um, and on the women's side, we had
Morgan.
do we had a pro field? No, we didn't have a pro field on Michigan, right?
No, not on that one. We had
No, yeah, no.
results in there. Just
We had, yeah.
to see. It was wicked athlete in there. Definitely has been coming up and up and up. It's been good to see him getting some results in there, and some fun racing. That I would have loved to see that showdown down the line, getting so close with 10 seconds.
Yeah, like that sprint finish from Lionel and Rudy on the Oceanside. Remember that one?
So good. Yeah.
and I think all three of them are going right to Georgia with you too, Fede.
Yeah. I'm towing the line with them, seeing if they can keep up with my swim.
Tag your toes and they can get a new PR in this.
And
there you go.
On the women's side, Tamara won, right? So we had the women's side. So that, I mean, and that's crazy too, because you talked, Jenna, earlier about how many races there are now, and now you see these pros who have been racing since April in Jackson's case, and now he's doing back-to-back weekends this late in the season. It's crazy. I think Mont Tremblant kind of changed his schedule around when that got canceled, but it's just apparently Michigan was a beautiful race, and people talked about the town and everything. So maybe put that one on our list.
Yeah, Tamara Jewett, she just has that run is absolutely unreal. Like it just
1:15.
Like come on. I can do that pace for like interval repeats. Half marathon. Yeah, and then Jackie Herring and Robin Pomeroy.
Yep.
It's just crazy to see like she's starting to pull it all together, and her run splits over the last few years have been mind-blowing. Like she is absolutely next level runner.
Our guest Nick Chase is going to be pretty happy, that's for sure.
Totally. Oh, that is wicked. Okay, I think we had a few other results coming in here too. It was a great racing.
We had 70.3 Belgium in Konke Heist, and we had a Belgian, Peter Himmerich, taking the win. On second place, we had Germany's Wilhelm Hirsch, who he's been on the podium quite consistently in these type of races on the European circuit. And then we had Harry Palmer from the UK coming in third place. And we also had, on the women's side, Lucy Buckingham taking the win, then Lizzie Rayner coming in second place, and Emilie Maurier from France on third place. And it was also a nail biter of a race on the women's side. There was only 8 seconds separating first and second place, and there are pictures on the finish line of Lucy just absolutely spent. She gave everything on that final couple 100 meters.
Oh, that is so brutal to try to sprint at that point in the race. Like your head, your body, everything's screaming no, but you just want to go for it. It's a little painful.
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay, were there
any? Have you guys had a sprint finish for anything in a race that late?
I've had one a couple of years ago, Olympic distance, and I took the win. I managed to outsprint the other guy, but I think that's because I took the better line. I knew the course that we were heading into a little U-turn, so I took the line to make him go the furthest. So I think that was just a good, smart racing, not like sprintability.
Yeah, I had one back in Scotland for a duathlon. There's like a 3-race duathlon series in there. And yeah, first one I won, second one, she got her coach to draft her to the finish or to the finish of the bike. And
Oh
one,
no.
next one, her coach wasn't there and we're like head to head in there. And I was just like, I have never hurt so bad in my life. But I'm like, I am winning this. Like, I was so pissed off. But sprinted like the last quarter mile and we were just like not giving an inch either way. And it was the most brutal thing ever, but took the win. So I was happy about that. Got a little bit of satisfaction. There is something to be said about racing angry at times. It's good fuel for the fire.
Oh, 100%.
That's awesome.
No, that it's funny. It's one of those things where a lot of times you don't think your body has more and your head's like, no, like I'm already giving 100%. But then when you see that person up ahead or someone's about to pass you,
Yeah.
oh, there's something there. It's like, you gotta, like, I will find every last ounce.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also a good reminder too. Don't judge a book by its cover. I think there's that saying. If you see Jenna show up for a race, you're like, no, this little girl's not going to beat us. And then but then you hear her and you hear her talk. And it's like, wait, that's not the same person. There's no way. And then you look across the triathlon world and the female sport. I mean, it's unbelievable. Some of the sizes of these girls and what you guys put out and then the grit, right? That's the part that you can't coach, teach. I mean, you can talk about it, but you've got it. It's been inside of you. So yeah, don't look down the line before the race starts and figure out what you're going to be able to do. Wait until you get there and just run your race.
Well, it's funny. I often get called always so happy and smiling and stuff. And it's like, take all that aggression out. Go on the race. or in the train. Feel great. All those endorphins.
Yeah.
No, fun times. Okay, what else do we have going on there? Or do we want to talk about that? Because I really want to talk about the Vuelta too.
I think that's about it. I mean, we had 70.3 Italy. That was also an age group race, and 70.3 Weymouth in the UK, also an age group race. So on the pro side, I think we're covered. And I was just gonna ask you guys, now that you just mentioned the grit and everything, when you guys are hurting, do you show your pain face or are you poker face even though you're hurting like crazy? Because my face gives it away 100% every time.
Leaving it all out there for sure. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the day, right? I think there's been days where the pain cannot be hidden, and then there's days where you're like, okay, I can feel it, but I can also not let anyone else know that. And I think there's a big distinction there, or what is going on, what's causing the pain. Stomach and things like that are a little harder to avoid what's going on. But if it's your legs and cramping, they might even just see it in your gait. But that's a tough one. It's facial expressions. You try and relax. So I've had some moments where I've definitely been told, yeah, I could tell you were struggling out there. And I was like, I didn't realize that. I didn't feel like I was, but apparently I was.
Yeah, I don't really know. Now that I think of it, I know
Jenna's
I smile for the pain a lot. I think I'm so in my head at those moments. I have no idea what my face is doing. I do not know.
That's a good question. That is a good way.
Yeah.
The psychology of racing, the Bill Belichick way. Figure out what they're thinking.
Yeah. Send us your pictures of you hurting and see if you have a poker face or just
totally.
Pain face like myself. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Send them to at Another Triathlon Podcast on Instagram. And briefly, before we jump into some Vuelta talk, because I've been absolutely obsessed with the Vuelta, so I need to talk about it. But if you guys are out there listening to the podcast, we always mention that Mana Endurance is one of our sponsors in here. Go check it out. The team has applications open right now to come join the race team. And as my two co-hosts can attest in here, it is just an absolutely incredible team to be a part of, from the chat going on. It's always active with tons going on. And the cool thing is we have a global team that's super supportive and enough people in there where if you're going through something, odds are someone else is dealing with it too. So everyone's got great advice. Or if you're going to a race, odds are very good that there's someone out there at the race. So you start to make some friends and connections through that. And it's always nice to see some familiar faces at races. But beyond that, the sport is expensive. So we've got some wicked team discounts for a bunch of sponsors, pretty much anything you can want in triathlon. There's a team discount code for too. And when you sign up for the triathlon team, there are a couple different tiers with clothing, tri-suits, or cycling kit that you get with it as well. So go check out Mana Endurance. We love the team. We're totally biased in so many ways, but it is a really great group to be a part of. And it's open for athletes of all ability levels. I coach a few athletes who are doing their first triathlons next year who are part of the team, all the way up to chasing world championships and podiums. So go check it out. Come join us. If you have any questions, you can ask on the Mana Instagram or another triathlon podcast, and we'd love to have you join us there.
And I would say too, I'd add to that, even if you're like taking a year off from triathlon and want to do your focus on running, like I'm doing right now with marathon, there's a ton of people that are just running right now too. So it's open to everyone, like Jenna said. So absolutely amazing community. Triathlon's not a fun sport to do on your own. So just come for the community, and then next thing you know, you'll be racing better than you ever have.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Absolutely
people who get it. Like most people in our lives day to day do not get it when it comes to triathlon. It sounds absolutely insane to most people you talk to outside of the sport. So it's nice to have that community that understands what you're dealing with.
Yeah. Speaking about community, I got a message from a member of the team that he has a drinking game with his friends while listening to the show.
Ooh,
And I thought it was hilarious when he told me that. And he said that every time I say goes to show, he takes a shot. Every time Josh says I mean, he takes a shot. And every time Jenna says wicked, he takes a shot. So yeah.
Which is funny because I'm the one from Boston, but Jenna's the one that says wicked.
Yeah.
That is too funny. I absolutely love that.
Now we're all going to be stuttering through the podcast.
Well,
yeah,
we got a whole new sport that we're creating through the community of this podcast. Fun. Although I
100%
events for the hangover tomorrow. Just saying. Love it. Well, let's jump into a little bit of Vuelta talk because I have been, like I said, absolutely hooked on this. Definitely newer to the cycling world, but I've been hooked on these grand tours, and it was absolutely insane. We won't recap the whole race, but wanted to get some thoughts on kind of the key moments in there. It started off with like 3 stages of chaos between, we talked about it before, the dark finish with the team time trial and crashes. And then we had a few crashes after the finish line because the organizers did not quite expect the athletes to come in as hot as they did, we'll say. But the big story of the Vuelta, which could have made it very boring, was Jumbo-Visma absolutely dominating everyone else within the sport to the point where they started racing each other. It was really crazy to see how Sepp Kuss, who's known as the Super Domestique, he's done all 3 Grand Tours. He's done all the Grand Tours that Jumbo-Visma has won. He's been a part of. It's crazy enough. And in the 3rd Grand Tour, proves to be the strongest he's been yet, with being able to go on breakaway, getting like 7 minutes on the peloton at one time, and kind of being thrust into the red jersey, which I don't think anyone really expected. And then we got some infighting with his teammates. It sounds like the Jumbo-Visma team was just like, okay, you guys battle it out on the Angliru. After that, we'll decide who the leader is. And they got a bit of blowback from that, we'll say. It's funny because usually in the Grand Tours, like, you don't attack your own teammate in the leader's jersey. Visma just wanted to win the race, period. They didn't really care who won at that point, but had some crazy antics on the Angliru where Jonas and Roglic kind of attacked Sepp Kuss and went away from him, where things could have turned around pretty quickly, till there was some massive social media backlash and people going like, dude, this guy helped both of you in your weak moments, in your Grand Tours that you won. come on. Like, he's strong enough to actually win this. What are you doing? Anyways, in the end, Sepp Kuss did take the win. They all ended up getting behind him and taking him to that finish line, which is very cool to see and just goes to show that nice guys can win the Grand Tours, which was thought to be impossible
Yep.
in the past. But wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on kind of that team infighting, some of the stages, or any kind of key moments that really stood out here.
Yeah, well, everything you said is the way it unfolded. I just wanted to add that it was very good to see Sepp taking the win. And for the first time in history, we have a team that won the Giro, then the Tour, and now the Vuelta. I mean, that's just world domination on Jumbo. And I think they wanted to end the season that way because next year they're not going to be called Jumbo Visma anymore. There's some changing in sponsors and all of that. So this is the last time we see them wearing the Jumbo Visma jersey. And they came out with a jersey with 3 stripes, the pink, the yellow, and the red, honoring the 3 Grand Tours. But other than that, I was over the moon for Sepp.
Yeah.
I think there's no other guy that deserved it more than he did. And I actually have a spreadsheet, well, not spreadsheet, a statistic of everything, of all the Grand Tours that Sepp has been part of.
Mm-hmm.
The Vuelta 2019, first place, Primoz Roglic, he was a domestic. Vuelta 2020, domestic for Primoz, he won. Vuelta 2021, Primoz won. Tour de France 2022, Jonas Vingegaard won. Giro d'Italia 2023, Primoz won. Tour de France 2023, first place again. And now, I mean, the cherry on top is him winning his very first Grand Tour, and this is amazing and just incredible for American cycling. I truly believe he's going to stay in Jumbo for the foreseeable future, as he's going to keep his role as super domestic, and maybe he's going to go for some classics. But he seems to me like the guy who is just happy to be there. And yes, there is some killer instinct in him, but I'm sure the team knows, and he knows that his role is still going to be of helping, Jonas and Primoz. I mean, word on the street is that maybe Primoz is going to go away, but who knows? But yeah, just a fairy tale ending for this story.
Yeah, it was so good to see. And it's the first time in 10 years an American has won the Vuelta, which is absolutely massive because cycling has had its darker days in the US. And it definitely has taken off quite a bit. Like, working in the cycling industry down there, you definitely see it doesn't have the same, development path or just general involvement from the public in there too. So hopefully this will inspire a little bit more of that. And I don't know, I don't think Sepp Kuss didn't seem like he wanted the pressure to go in as a single leader to any of these.
Yeah, no.
But I could see him kind of doubling up as like one of the potential leaders kind of thing, where he doesn't have all the weight on his shoulders, but if things go his way, would have the opportunity to kind of go after that again. Because he's just like, he is.
Yeah, I think it's like a 1A, 1B type situation.
Yeah.
If anything ever went wrong during a Grand Tour, he's right there ready to jump into
Ready
the
to
1A.
go.
And
Absolutely. And, I see the whole drama from both sides, right? Like, especially with Roglic, like, he was trying to get a record in there, and he is getting older and towards the end of his career, where he's starting to look at how many more Grand Tour wins do you have on your palmares. So that would definitely be challenging to go into, like, he was going into this race as he was supposed to be the guy everyone's behind. He's going to go win it again. And then a month out, Jonas is like, hey, I'll jump in and race it. And then during the race, I was like, hey, I'm leading this. So it's got to be a hard kind of mindset shift to go from, I have trained specifically for this race to go win it, to break a record, and now I have to back off and kind of let someone else take it. So I get how that's hard, but Seb has been such a super domestique for both of them that he has this shot he may never have again. You gotta back him. Like, yeah. And there's all this talk of like gifting him the win. It's like, well, no, you weren't pulling him up to the finish. He was right there with you guys every day. The only threat
Yeah.
in winning was his own teammates. Like, it's not like he's being pulled to the finish line. So I don't know. Makes me happy, that outcome. And then it was cool to see Remco Evenepoel. He was the last year's winner, and he was supposed to be up there for GC contention, and just ended up having a brutally bad day on one of the stages. And I don't think it was quite as bad as the 30 minutes he actually lost. I think kind of shifted from once he was out of GC. Let's switch it around, start to go for stage wins, start to go for that King of the Mountain jersey. And man, did he turn that around quickly. Like, the mental toughness to go from, you just complete your initial goal, let's go destroy another one, is super impressive.
Yeah, there's just a champion mindset, the way he turned it around. I mean, after he blew up and he lost a chunk of time and he was out of the GC contention, like you said, Jenna, he was going for stages and making the race exciting. Even on the last stage, he was on a breakaway with Filippo Ganna and all those guys, like for 40 Ks, and it was like a 47-minute breakaway. And actually, Filippo Ganna posted his training peaks file, and they pushed 5.23 watts per kilos on the last 40 Ks on the last stage of the Vuelta
tour.
Which, I mean, yeah, to end a big Grand Tour. So, yeah. And I think it was a good way of thanking his team, Quickstep, because he's not coming back next year. He has big ambitions. He wants to win the Tour de France, and he knows he is not gonna win the Tour if he stays in Quickstep. So he's probably gonna go to a major team who has the big bucks and a strong team, so they can back him on the Tour de France.
Yeah, that's kind of the funny part with these teams and their budgets and stuff. Like, UAE wasn't really anywhere, Ineos Grenadier was not really anywhere in there, and Jumbo-Visma has a significantly smaller budget than they do. Like, they're not just out there buying all the top names to take these wins. They took a chance on a few riders early along in their development and just know how to develop these riders, which is crazy. Now they're reaping the benefits of it. But some of these other teams have like $10 million more in budget than them, and they're nowhere. Visma is just destroying them constantly. It's crazy to see. It's fun this year. Now, if that's the norm for like the next 2 years, Jumbo-Visma wins everything everywhere, and Wout van Aert won the Tour de Britain at the same time, that'll be boring.
Yeah.
It's cool to see right now, to see a team kind of pull that off.
And I think that
Absolutely.
the whole Sepp personality is wearing off on the other ones too. And it's this little kid that just he's just genuine, and he just enjoys it. Like, even the video that I saw yesterday, like, he's rolling down to the finish line in Barcelona or Madrid, and he's hanging out with the marshal, like holding on to the bike and chatting with the marshal and thanking him for everything that they did. And it's like, you don't see that every day. And I think his whole mentality, it was awesome to see an American step up and do something good in cycling, and somebody who's earned it over the years and the results of the other people. So just really cool. And that's actually going to be one of my social media posts of the week too, is one of the ones that Jumbo-Visma put up in honor of all of them in the year that they've had. Is a really cool one. So
and you can see that everybody was genuinely happy for Sepp, because there's a video after the finish line on the last stage. There is Sepp's mom, Sepp's girlfriend or wife. There's Primož's wife, and Jonas Vingegaard wife as well. They're all super emotional for him, and even Primož's wife goes like, "I'm gonna go stand over there because I'm gonna cry."
Yeah.
So you can see that everybody was over the moon for him.
Oh, it's so good to see. You're going to jump into our regular segments here. Let's start off, since we've been talking all about the Vuelta, with our social media post of the week. Josh, you said it had something to do with the Vuelta results.
Yeah, so Jumbo-Visma_roads, the Instagram account for the team, and they've got a lot of cool content. I mean, these cycling teams, some of the content that they put out. So if you've never checked out some of these cycling team Instagram accounts or social media accounts, definitely do that. But this one that caught my eye this week was one that they put, a reel that they put together of all three, pink, yellow, red, and kind of celebrating the year that they've had. And and the scenery and all of the majesticness that is these major tours and the grand tours. So it was just really cool to see how they celebrated the team aspect of a sport that becomes so individual at the end of the day. But we all know how big and important the team is and what Sepp did. I think Sepp just kind of reminded everyone of that, and Jumbo kind of locked onto it. And it's just a really cool reel posted today. They've got a lot of posts because they're kicking everyone's butt, so they might as well use social media right now. But you'll see it's the cover photo of the reel is the three bikers all together coming in. So really cool. Check that out. We'll post it on our spot as well for everyone to have a link to it. But it's a cool industry to check out, and that's why we've all grabbed onto it and talk about it on a weekly basis when there is a grand tour or cycling event going on. They link in really well, and it's cool to see some of these triathletes now, or some of these cyclists come into triathlon, or vice versa. A lot of triathletes getting into some of these cycling races, like Paul Finley and Taylor Knibb. So there's a lot of crossover. So don't forget about that other stuff going on out there.
Yeah, and it was fun. I don't know if you guys saw the t-shirts and stickers now and everything of Sepp Kuss. He's got his own little do up here. The hype is real. GC Kuss, Vuelta winner. So it's kind of, they really do that well, the marketing, the promotion afterwards, which is great to see. And one of his famous lines has been everywhere, where he's like, "What the F is a kilometer?" He's got all his
How far
European teammates. So it's kind of fun to see. He's definitely, such a good ambassador and personality in the sport. It's nice to see them really rallying around him and getting this result, which is very cool.
You just reminded me to get a GC Kuss shirt.
Like, honestly. I love the new kit. Like, they had a special kit for the last day with that the pink, yellow, and red on there too, and all black kits, just to show, they dominated this season. But that was very, very cool. I don't know if you guys saw it. They had this posting. Sorry, I'll stop with the Vuelta chat after this. But they had like their team goals for the year were absolutely insane. Like, they actually had it written down, like, win the Vuelta, win the Tour, win the Giro, win the Paris-Roubaix, win, like, they had some crazy, crazy goals, and they got almost all of them, except, unfortunately, Wout van Aert had a flat during one of his races there, so it didn't quite tick all of the boxes off. But if you're to look at that at the start of the season, everyone would be like, you can't be serious. Like, you got to be kidding me, right? But you have to believe that you can do something like that before you can actually do something like that, and they did. I can't imagine any of the other teams were saying that in their team presentation for the year, these goals. Let's jump into the what the F moment. So, even though we were saying women seem to crash and burn a little bit less in long distance triathlon, this has something to do with those lines. But more that we seem to be seeing a rash of instances where officials impact the outcome of the race significantly, which you never want to see. You want to see it fair racing on the course, but them not be, I guess, so inserted. But we just saw another controversial ruling with Marjolaine Pierré. She was disqualified 50 meters from the finish line when she was about to win this triathlon. She had a massive lead, and she hit that point where we've seen kind of those pictures and videos of other triathletes where they're just stumbling, like kind of barely able to walk or stand up or run in there. And you've seen in some of those other videos where they're pushing away any possible supporters or anyone on course, trying to help them along because they want to make it to that finish line. And it sounds like it was a situation pretty close to that. And she had someone, one of the race organizers, like offer a bottle of water, and she was just trying to stumble her way to the finish line. But they ended up disqualifying her. It sounds like for outside assistance, getting that bottle of water, I guess. So it's unfortunate to see. I could see if someone like went under her arm and pulled her to the finish line. I didn't see any videos of this, so I can't say for sure. But if it's a case of you have to stop for a second, reset, and keep moving forward, I don't think that should be a disqualification in there, especially when it's Like there's a massive lead in there. There's no question that she's going to win. 50 meters from the finish line to be disqualified. That doesn't seem quite right, unless they said like she has someone pulling her across the line, which is funny because it is a little reminiscent of the Brownlee brothers when Johnny was starting. Yeah, in Cozumel, where Johnny was, going sideways just from heat in there, and Alistair, picked him up essentially and pulled him across the finish line. That they end up ruling wasn't outside assistance because they're both in the race. I think they tightened up the rules from there. It's interesting. It would be good to see exactly what happened in there, but if it is a case of just she stopped for a second to grab some water, hung on to someone for a second without any forward progression, I think it would be the same thing as the like the paddle boards or kayaks in the water. Like if you're not making any forward progression, I don't think that should be a disqualification. Like, that seems.
It's even less of a help than holding on to a paddleboard or a jet ski, or so and you're talking at the very end of a
50
4-hour,
meters,
6-hour, 8-hour, 12-hour, 16-hour day. I mean, come on. It's I think the thing is it's the interpretation, and when things are left up to interpretation, it can be interpreted by any volunteer ref. And that's the other part of this too. I mean, even in the World Championships, there's still volunteer refs and umps, and to leave it up to that, that's tough. And so then you get the ones that are like, no, there's a fine line. This is a DQ, so DQ, and there is no human factor into it too. So it's a hard line to walk for everyone, but I'm a firm believer in if there are rules, they just need to be instituted across the board, the same for everyone.
Okay, we're going to jump into our interview with Nic Chase and Parker Spencer from Project Podium and Super League. And give this interview a listen, and listen closely because there may be some tidbits in there that might be interesting in the lead in to Kona. I know nothing confirmed, but what do you guys think? Are you more excited about Kona coming up now after doing that interview?
I think that interview definitely has me tuned in real closely now. And start watching some training videos and things like that, see who's going to be ready to compete with our newfound potential champion.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these few weeks unfold, and give the interview a listen, because you guys are going to be shocked, or maybe not, because we may have said a few things here and there a few episodes ago. But
There's been a few rumors, a little bit of it milling around. So we will see if that's actually the case, and if this all plays out the way we think it'll be. Our Kona prediction should be a lot more interesting. But stay tuned. It's an incredible interview with these guys who are doing a lot to really grow triathlon within the sport. And let us know what you think. As we mentioned before, we're going to be talking with a few of the key members of USA Triathlon's development stream with Parker Spencer, who works with USA Triathlon's Project Podium. And then we'll also chat with Nic Chase, the team manager for the RTS Warriors on the Super League Triathlon series. As you know, we're massive fans of Super League, so it's kind of cool to see how this is being used as a path to develop USA athletes. But let's jump into it. Parker, Nic, how are you guys doing? Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, doing great. Happy to be here. Excited. Thanks for inviting us on.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, where are you guys located? We'll start with you, Parker. Whereabouts are you?
So I'm only just a few hours north of Nic right now. So I'm in Park City, Utah. And then I head over to Spain tomorrow for the U23 World Championships.
Oh, wicked. That's got to be exciting. Definitely have a few up-and-comers in there, I'm sure, who are willing or excited to go hit it out.
Yeah, definitely. It's the grand final for the elites, and then we also have our U23s, and then the para triathlon world championships are there as well. So there's kind of a lot going on there, and then we also have a few guys over in Italy doing the Xterra World Championships. So it's kind of a massive world championship weekend for our squad.
Yeah, we're definitely in the thick of the race season across the triathlon distances for sure. How about you, Nic? Whereabouts are you located?
I live in St. George, Utah. I do travel quite a bit, but this is, in my opinion, better than Tucson, better than Boulder, better than, I don't know. There's other European places that I think would give us a run for our money, but in the U.S., I'm St. George through and through.
And triathlon definitely got to experience St. George, at least on the long distance field. We had a few years of world championships and races happening down there back to back to back. So I think most of us know St. George fairly well at this point. It's a lot of fun to train around there and some wicked hills.
It's harsh. I mean, you're a product of your environment. So anytime you can train someplace that's pretty tough, you're going to come out a bit stronger.
Absolutely love it. Well, let's chat a little bit about your guys' involvement with USA Triathlon and the teams in there. We'll start with you, Parker Spencer. So you're a part of Project Podium. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how that works with USA athletes?
Yeah, so we started Project Podium in 2018, and basically, as NCAA women's triathlon started to become more and more of a thing, and the popularity there just continues to grow. It basically is helping us from a development standpoint on what we're already really good at, which is women's triathlon and our women continuing to be dominant on the world stage. But just because of Title IX rules and sports like football that have really big rosters, and NCAA triathlon is just not going to be a men's sport anytime soon. So we started Project Podium to basically keep our best young men in the sport. We now have kids that if you ask them, what's your background in the sport? And they're not going to say swimming, biking, or running. They're going to say, what are you talking about? I've done triathlon since I was 5. And that's basically the guys that we have on our squad have been doing this since they were 4 or 5 years old. And we don't want them to go take an NCAA running scholarship or NCAA swimming scholarship. We've had athletes do that in the past and be on world championship podiums for juniors and then go run for 4 years and jump back into the sport, and they're a worse triathlete than they were when they were 18. So we want to make sure that we're developing these guys through their pivotal years of development. And so I start recruiting them when they're 17. They're on the squad from ages 18 to 23, and then they'll graduate on and work with a coach like Ryan Bolton or Ian O'Brien from there. So we've got 10 guys part of the group now. We've got a few guys that are para-triathletes, and then the rest of the guys are in the Olympic format. But then I'm a big fan of letting them do different formats. I think it helps a lot with development. And we've got guys who are won the elite national championship in Xterra. So Sullivan Middaugh is kind of taking after his dad, and his dad's kind of a legend in the off-road world. And he just won his second national championship a few weeks ago. But then he was also third at the junior national championships, and then went to the junior world championships with us this year. And then that's where kind of the introduction to Nic and Super League came into the mix. Nic reached out to me, and we started talking about, both of us are really passionate about getting the men's side of the sport to kind of be on the same level as our women. And we want to give these guys the development opportunity that they need. So in Super League, you have like superstars that have come out of there, like Hayden Wild, where Super League really was his introduction into the sport on the road side. And then now he's won an Olympic medal, and he's looking really good for another Olympic medal. So now I've got 2 18-year-old boys that we're over in London and France with Nic and the Warriors, and they're jumping in the pool, and Jonathan Brownlee's in the lane next to them, and Hayden Wild's in the lane next to them. And they had 5 medalists from the last 2 games in the pool and lanes right next to them. And you just can't get that type of experience. And so we're super thankful to be working with Nic and working with the Warriors and giving those guys the experience that they need to be on the podium at the Olympics one day.
Yeah, it's fun to see those progressions. Rolled around with the Super League crew, worked for Mac as one of his coaches for the amateur triathlon team for years. So it's so funny. I've got this picture of like Hayden Wild in one of his first few races in there, like eliminated quickly in there. He's in like a bathrobe from the hotel, just partying afterwards and stuff. And started off just going hard, trying to hang on. And he just hung on a little bit longer each time. And it's been cool to see what Super League can do on that development side. But let's jump over to you, Nic. So how did you get involved with Super League Triathlon and the new team, the Warriors there?
So I think even before all that, we started a long course professional team, REAL Triathlon squad. And I think through that and being friends with Tim Don, he had kicked my name over to some of the Super League, staff. And Michael Dolst reached out to me and asked if I would like to be a co-manager last year with Ronnie Schneidig for the Rhinos. And it didn't take me long to say, yes, hell yes. I mean, being part of that organization, being surrounded by that caliber of managers and staff, and with the momentum I feel like it was going to carry. And then having been in Toulouse and seeing roughly, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, like it seemed like along the bridge, the canal, just loving the sport. When we did our community activation, it was just madness. And coming to Malibu, seeing how Super League owns the Malibu Triathlon and how they still raise so much money for the hospital. It's a celebrity event. They're doing a lot of good. And for everything for me, from the inception of REAL Triathlon Squad to now us, managing and co-owning kind of the Warriors, it's everything Tri Forward. Everything I can do to help put money and experience in these younger kids' pockets to actually make a living one day and not have to just go in debt and wonder where the development programs are, and meeting Parker along the way and hopefully integrating more within their systems to make sure there's a lot of handshakes to benefit both of our programs, makes the Warriors today certainly our main focus leading towards the 2028 LA Olympics. From now on, our REAL Triathlon squad and Project Podium narrative with Super League is going to be, let's help these U23 national champions get ready for the highest caliber of racing and try to get some more medals at the Olympics with persistence and putting them in situations that are going to make them more tough as athletes. Because look at a lot of the cup races and a lot of what they have opportunities to race. It doesn't really put them, refine them as a chiseled stone. It kind of just shows them enough to be dangerous, but I think we want to give them a short footing chance. So that's kind of how I knew for sure after being part of it last year, we had to own a team. We had to raise money. We had to make partnerships, and we had to do something bigger in the USA for our sport because we're getting left behind. The Europeans are really sticking it to us, and it's nothing against our current talent. They're doing everything they can. But if you look at right now, there's a big gap. Who's going to fill those shoes when we see some retiring long course athletes, or who's going to come out and step into Katie Zafiris and Taylor Spivey and Taylor Knibb? Who's going to fill their shoes? And on the men's side, even more, like we want to see a podium finish for a male triathlete on the Olympics. So, and also the para side as well. We wanted to do a lot for that. So I say that's our protocol. That's why I'm here. And that's why I'm super passionate about everything triathlon and what we can do with USAT. I'm not affiliated with USAT. Parker is my only connection.
And you talk about the money piece of it too. And thank you, Nic, for everything you're doing to try and move this forward and keep the sport growing in the US, especially, and get back to where it needs to be. But I think my connection with Parker is through the USA Triathlon Foundation Ambassador Program and raising money for the organization, because I think, Parker, you can let everyone know, where does most of your funds come? How do these 10 kids get to go to school and train?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, and this is a big misconception I think a lot of people have on our program, is that they think that USAT is just giving us a ton of money and these athletes are traveling the world on membership dime and stuff and things like that. But almost all of our money comes from the USAT Foundation and different donors that I've met along the way. a really cool story is we had Tim O'Donnell and a Navy SEAL come and talk to the guys. The day it was on July 3rd, so just before July 4th, and then the guys were getting ready to go to Hamburg for the World Championships. And I brought them in because I like Tim O'Donnell obviously is like just a legend in the sport and been in there for a long time, but he also has a Navy background himself. And having those guys just speak to what it means to them to be from the US and what it means to represent the US. And then hearing a Navy SEAL just kind of give some stories about what it means to him to be an American and what these guys need to take over to Germany when they get to wear USA on their chest when they're competing in a world championship, and that you do that with pride and you do that with an understanding that you represent something bigger than yourself. So that was really, really cool. And the guys were really pumped up after it. And we had great results at the World Championships. We had 3 guys in the top 8, which the only country to ever do that in triathlon history in a junior men's championship is Great Britain. And then why that's relevant to the foundation is we just posted a picture of them kind of talking to the boys. And then a donor that has nothing to do with triathlon, she's never done a triathlon, never seen one, saw that. And she ended up giving all the guys a full ride scholarship to ASU for all their tuition. She's paying for all of our housing in Tempe, Arizona now when we're there. And then we're getting ready to go to 3 Continental Cups, 2 in Turkey and 1 in Chile, and she's paying for all that. So it's people like that the foundation is really allows them to come in and be able to support something that we're really passionate about and trying to get not just these guys to be on podiums. And Nick and I have talked a lot about this, and he feels the same way, that like we want to give these guys life experience that they're going to walk away from triathlon one day and be better people for it. And both of our approach is really like focus on the big picture and focus on the person. And if you really develop these athletes and develop them as people first and athletes second, then the triathlon results are going to come. And that's what we're really seeing this year.
That is very cool to see. And yeah, like you mentioned, Super League gives them the ability to really jump to a next level very quickly with the style of racing. So Nick, I wanted to ask you about the upcoming Malibu race. I believe it's an eliminator format for that one.
Yeah, that's the thing I really want more folks to understand is it's not your standard swim, bike, run. You'll kind of watch 2 or 3 people for the entire broadcast and it's kind of boring. It is probably one of the most fierce, competitive, action-packed hour slots of triathlon that I've ever been a part of. And Malibu is a great event because it's right there on the beach. There's factors within every event that cause athletes to really want to strategize. And as a team, we all have tactics. The Warriors specifically will have different tactics than the Scorpions based on the firepower we're able to bring in terms of who can show up. And for this race, we've nailed down our best women talent and our best male talent for our USA team that we could get our hands on and who was available. Like we just couldn't get Taylor to come out. She's too busy getting ready for Kona. But those situations, we hope to, bring some really world-class athletes. Not that we don't have it already, but, the peak. So Malibu is an eliminator. We did in Toulouse. It was a triple mix, and London was an enduro. Enduro is like the hardest. That's swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. And I'm the manager in the pits, resetting all the bikes, the elastics, the gear, so they can not fumble through transition. So that's toughest on me. Let's remember that. I have to work my ass off.
You got your steps in.
Like if you put a camera on the managers during some of these races and just put some like theme park music to it, it's like hilarious because we're just fumbling around with bikes and trying not to trip and get in the way. And then for
MG, okay.
Yeah, MG is so funny. We're like, I don't think he's doing anything. He's trying.
You might not want a mic on him in the middle of the race.
Not the
we talked about that.
Not safely.
Yeah, he brings a level of like honesty and rawness that I think every manager brings something, and we love him for that. It's epic. And then Toulouse's triple mix. It's not one of the favorites because it's swim, bike, run, and then I think it's bike, run, swim, and then run, bike, swim, and then it's bike, swim, run. So it's a bit of a tough one to wrap your head around. You got to run with your goggles on, ride with your swim cap on. And then the Eliminator standard swim, bike, run all the way through with 2 to 3 minute breaks between. And then they cut out the last 3 or 4 athletes. And there's also the obvious 90-second rule that if you get lapped out, that's part of it as well. So Malibu is going to be fun. The surf adds a huge level of what the hell is going to happen, because even the best swimmers can just round that second buoy, come back into shore, and just get left behind by someone who catches a wave and body surfs in. And last year for our rhinos, Jean Lahaire just nailed it and just crushed some of those waves. So we're hoping that some of our American athletes, I think Summer was on the Cheetahs last year and did really, really good. So Malibu is going to be, that's like, if you don't see a lot of me and the American team, I'm going to be pissed at Super League, because they've been telling me that's your race. You're going to make a lot of noise there. So that should be our chance to shine.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. So, and it's funny. I remember with that, the run into Malibu too, we had an athlete almost like Scorpion just kind of in there. So you got to get through the waves first to be able to try to catch one on the way back there. It's
absolutely
brutal. Yeah. What we love about the race, because we definitely geek out on it a fair bit, and I've been out to a number of them, it's so fast paced. There's tons of energy. And now with this team aspect, there's a lot more strategy involved in it, trying to get swim points, bike points, trying to win short shoots for your team.
Mm-hmm.
How much time do you put into kind of that strategy and figuring out what, like giving direction to the athletes, what you actually want them to do on race day? Or do you just kind of see how it unfolds as the race goes?
Oh man, I think Parker and I, the amount of stress we've carried into these meetings and it is like, I think we planned 6 months diligently, and things change like every week almost with who can show up, who's available. And then we brought, we're allocating 2 spots as much as we can this year to Parker's kids to come in, who were at London and Toulouse, and they did exceptional. Reese scored 8 points for us every single time by getting that fastest run split. Carter, Chase, and who else was it? Carter, Chase, and Seth came out top 3 in Toulouse, got tons of swim points. So we know as a team, we are lacking, I guess, that Hayden Wild star power. We don't have a Blumenfeld or a Leo Berger. The American triathlete board just doesn't have that athlete right yet. And I think we're getting there. We're getting really close. And starting these 18-year-old kids with Carter Stuhlmacher and Reese Vanderson from Project Podium this young, I bet they're already racing to a different caliber. Even in Colombia, Parker said they were racing stronger with more intensity. And Parker, what's your opinion on having those kids compete in Super League and then seeing the change right after they raced in Colombia?
Yeah, definitely. It's, when you race on a course like that, and even talking to Carter after Toulouse, he's like, literally every corner I went around, someone's on the ground, there's a crash. And he's like, I've never been involved with anything like that. And it's just super fast paced, super tight. Even before the race, when they were doing the course familiarization, I told Carter, I was like, wait till Hayden Wild gets on the course and ride his wheel. And he was like, Hayden yelled at me. He didn't want me on his wheel during the course fan. And but then we literally went 2 weeks back to back. We went London, then we went to Toulouse, and then I flew my guys all the way from there over to Santa Marta, Colombia. And we had the sprint distance, like our regional championship, like the PACCO region, so North, Central, South America. And even this was Carter's first time that he had ever been in an elite breakaway. And so he came out of the water right on Chase McQueen's feet. Him and Chase were on the bike with 5 other guys, and they dropped 2 of them. And we strategized going into that, and I just told him to just go all in on the breakaway and just see what he could do on the run. But the first thing he did when he called me right after the race was like, Super League made a massive difference. Like for me to be able to stay in and actually have the confidence to stay in the breakaway. And that's just like 7 days later. So like what Nic's talking about, like Nic's really helping invest in the future of the sport and then letting these guys race. And then this will be year after year after year. And then eventually like we'll have our Hayden Wild and we'll have that athlete that's pushing the pace at the front. And so what it makes our job pretty interesting, where we're like strategizing and thinking how can we squeeze every last point out of this team. And you watch a guy like Reese, where Reese set the Texas state record in the 2 mile, and then the same day won the mile when he was in high school. And so this kid's super fast, but he's a triathlete. He's been doing triathlon since he was 5. And so we've used him to, and we're like, dude, you're literally going to these races and you're going to be the fastest runner. And no one actually, I think, caught on to our strategy at first. And they just see this young kid coming into transition last, because we just wanted him to not burn any matches on the swim and bike. He's like stretching in transition and like just taking his time, and then hits the line, and then he's just all out, and it is full on 800 meter all out. He like ducks at the line when he's coming across at the end, and then he still has another lap to run, but like to get the points, it's just 1 lap. And I think he ran that second lap like twice as slow as he ran the first lap, but he got us those 8 points, outsplit Alex Yee by 7 seconds. And then we knew that he was going to have a target on his back now. Like they knew our strategy. And so in Toulouse, like we lined him up first on when it was the second stage, and it was started with a run. And I mean, that clip is like pretty epic. Like he's just full on all out for 1K. And then of course gets eliminated right after because he's just totally gassed, but it's still the experience is just awesome. And I mean, this 18-year-old kid's probably going to walk away at the end of the series with 15 grand in his pocket from the prize winnings for having the fastest run split.
And we're taking him to Neom for that exact reason. He's already.
You guys, like just mixing it up and that's the fun part about Super League, is that it is so fast and furious and ever evolving that you can really make up a lot of time or get a lot of points thinking outside the box. Like the whole race series is outside the box, and finding those tactics to get some points. It was pretty entertaining to watch as the commentators started to clue into it and figure out, wait a second, okay, now we see what's going on here, because people are looking like, what is this kid doing? Like,
I even thought, what is he doing? Because he came in off that second lap and he's got his swim cap and wasn't ready to go hit his second part of the swim bike run. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Go. And he's just like, I'm spent, man. And like the ref over with the yellow flag and DQs him. He's like, and even Tomo, the ref, was like, I've never seen somebody like begging me to DQ or to lap them out so badly.
Yeah. And then like, I'm really, really excited about Carter Stolmacher. Like I think that he's a kid who, like his long-term potential is just through the roof. He came into our team as just a strong swimmer. And then at the junior national championships, he split a 15 flat 5K and ended up 7th. And he, like, it's just fun for me to be able to it's kind of like his introduction to the elite world. It's what we've been able to do here with Super League. So for him to come right out on Chase McQueen's feet in Toulouse and then get us 6 points there, and then he's gotten us some points from just his finishing place as well. I think Nic's probably relieved that that this idea is kind of working out, and like our guys are getting some points, and it's not like they're getting lapped out after 2 legs of the first round. But
we brought in Hime. I mean, we brought in a 15-year-old who's just switching over to the USA Federation, and we're trying. I mean, there's another the Eagles. I think her name is Fanny. I can't remember her last name, but I think she's 16, and she's from the first to second race, a different athlete. And I know Hime is going to be a talent as well. So Parker is like our pipeline for these kids who have a lot of talent, who haven't been found yet, and we can use Super League to give them a platform. We certainly want to try.
That's phenomenal. And they will never have this transition time ever after doing the Super League series.
And then they end up on the podium together at 70.3 Michigan wearing the same suit, right?
Yeah. And then we get a long course team who has been there, done that, and all the youth development stuff and still representing at the top. It's just fantastic.
Great to
Pretty
see
good
that.
weekend. I was surprised you were going to make it on this call after all that celebrating yesterday.
No, I don't get to celebrate. I just get to work harder. After our business partner, Adam, I was like, shit, I have to find more money now. I'm going to have to pay them a lot of money. Like, I'm just going to be hounding.
Just keep the athletes winning at Super League, and that'll get a couple bucks in there, I'm sure. But
separate budgets.
Okay, fair enough. Won't keep you too much longer, but wanted to get your guys' thoughts looking towards Malibu. Who do you think is your biggest competition in the teams race there this weekend? Because I know the start lists are constantly changing and the depth of the teams is drastically changing every race. So who do you think is your biggest competition there?
And trash talk is all part of it too. So
yeah, it is tough to trash talk, to be very honest, because we are all the managers. We have tons of meetings, and we stay at the same hotel. So we get I hang out with Dan Dixon and at breakfast, or we'll sit down with Christian and just chat. Like, you get to know everybody, and you want them all to do well. But race day is different, of course, and I'd say the major competitors always, and we always want to whoop the Scorpions' ass as much as we can. We always want. They've been around. They've had the biggest budget. They've bought the best athletes they can. But honestly, I think Alex Yee's coming. The Sharks mathematically, they cannot be beaten after what they've pulled off at London and Toulouse. So I think we're putting our hat in just to take second or third place from hopefully the Eagles. They've got. I think they're going to be a little bit shallow in depth for the USA race. A lot of the athletes are busy racing elsewhere. And then, of course, we have a huge race, which is Pontevedra for the American athletes as well. So hopefully all that goes well. We don't flag any injuries. I would personally say Sharks are going to have Alex Yee back. So that's going to be a tough one. Johnny Brownlee's been stellar this year. He's been scoring a ton of points. And if Max Stapley's good to go, I mean, I think the Sharks team is the one we'd love to go head to head and see them make some fumbles, because they've had it they've picked the British Olympic team basically. And we've got nothing to go against that type of athlete lineup. Parker, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of echo what Nick said. It's definitely it's fun to have these rivalries, and especially, I mean, basically the Sharks and the Warriors is GB versus USA. What we like to say is it's our 2028 Olympic team against their 2024. So we'll see them in a few years. But the one quick story with that too, where Nick's kind of talking about just the camaraderie that everyone has. We really, and we don't regret it, but we really wanted Hime. She's moving over from Mexico to the USA. She was second at the Junior World Championships, really stellar athlete, and top 12 in a World Cup. And this was a big deal for her. And it was kind of she ended up getting eliminated right after the first round, and she was just distraught.
Big crash.
Yeah. She crashed, and she was just devastated. And we went up and told her we were glad she's there and everything. But then Jonathan Brownlee came up and started encouraging her, and he's like, it's okay. This is just triathlon. And it's you have a multi-Olympic medalist, consoling this 15-year-old is pretty awesome. And, but we still want to beat them, and we still want to try to beat the Sharks on home soil. We do have some of our own superstars that haven't raced so far that'll be joining us. And so we're pretty excited about our Malibu team. But I think this year is a difficult year just because people are trying to qualify for the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So we went straight from the test event, where athletes basically went straight from the test event to the very next week racing in London. And then with the grand final coming up this weekend, like basically athletes that were really hoping they would qualify in London and didn't. Some of them have pulled out of Toulouse so that they could get a training block going into the grand final and clinch their Olympic spot. But we are pretty excited about the team we have in Malibu.
I would wager we still, if Taylor Spivey had not have had to pull off for Toulouse due to an acute, system she was working with on her ankle, that's all I know. I think that if she was, she's not injured by say, but she was just being very careful. I would say we would have had that extra points, and I think we still would have been like in third place because I think we definitely were only down by 20 points. So that would have been her race to win also, with Jean Lahaire getting DQ'd, unfortunately. But I think that's what it comes down to, is like these little points. And that's why we had to make some tough calls on athletes. Our men's roster for Malibu is going to be awesome. We've got Morgan Pearson, Ben Canute, Seth Ryder, Chase McQueen, and then Reese Vanderson. So we've got our stellar lineup. And then we actually ended up with 6 women for this race due to just we've contracted enough to make sure we don't have any blackout races. But we also contracted too many. So we're going to have an extra person who will not score. The lowest scoring USA female will not be counted in those points, just as the Scorpions had an extra male in Toulouse. So it'll be, I don't know why that really happened, to be honest with you, but it happened. A lot of it's just kind of like, okay, well, this isn't an adaptation. But I think our women's field, we've got Katie Zafaris, Taylor Spivey, Summer Rappaport, Eric Aukerland, Kirsten Casper, and I think I'm missing somebody. I can't remember. Those are like all the slammers.
Yeah. Did we say Erica?
Erica? Yeah. I've got a roster, but there's a lot of to go through all the time. Well, we're going to have a mystery. You'll have to wait and see.
There we go. Yeah.
Just stoked to see that. Like, especially at the beginning of the season, we were looking at the Scorpions team and stuff because they definitely do have the biggest budget in there. And we're kind of like, oh, these guys are going to dominate. But they haven't had all of their key players like healthy and out there racing. And from what you just said for the U.S. team going into Malibu, and plus they're not going to have their team manager out there. They got a sub in for Malibu. It'll be interesting to see you guys kind of come up against them and see what you can do out there.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting racing to watch.
And Parker's going to be there too. Like, that has been legit the best thing that could have happened for our team, is to have Parker with his USAT experience. He knows these athletes very well. They trust him. They listen to me. So it works great.
Perfect.
That's a good point too. Like, Parker, with how do people get into your system? Obviously you talked about some of these kids starting really young, but you've got to go find people too. Like, how do you go find them at 16, 17 years old to get them in? And how do people find out about the program and more about the program as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we do have a junior series in the US, and most of the athletes, like even athletes like Taylor Knibb, that's how she got started in the sport, is she went through our youth and our junior programs. And so we have a 5-race series next year for that, athletes racing super sprint and sprint distance races. So a lot of them are identified there, but then there are some of them that I kind of like also just finding the kid that never would have came through the traditional ways. And like even someone like Sullivan Middall, his dad is a pro triathlete, been a pro triathlete for 20 plus years. Like you'd think that kid would have a lot of triathlon experience himself, but Josiah was really adamant about like him not pushing his kids to do the sport and him not coaching them or anything like that. So I took Project Podium. At one point we did the Xterra World Championships in Maui. And then the guys talked me into jumping in there, which was a huge mistake. So I'm like laying on the ground for like the 4th time after crashing. And this kid who started 20 minutes behind me just flies past me on the bike. And I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I'm finding him after the race and I'm talking to him. And then a month later, he was doing a visit with us, and he's been such an awesome addition to the program. So you have a kid like him, and then even Carter, it was fun kind of looking back at emails the other day with his dad. Like I reached out to his dad 3 years ago after watching him looking at results from the Claremont Triathlon Challenge in Claremont, Florida, and saw that this kid came out of the water first, had one of the 3 fastest runs, and then had gotten dropped by several bike groups. So he just needed a lot of bike development. And so his dad and I stayed in contact for the last 3 years talking about cycling development. And then now he's one of the strongest kids we've ever had come through the program. So, that is a lot of fun. It's fun finding them at races, but then fun finding them through different avenues. And then there's some kids, like what we're really trying to do. I brought on a social media intern, and he's been putting out some really cool content for us. And I had him come to Super League, and he even did some stuff for us with the Warriors, and he'll be in Malibu as well. But his entire job is, I told him, it's to make this look cool for kids, make parents okay with sending their kid there, and make donors want to be a part of it. And
he usually gets those done right.
Yeah. So it's trying to use tactics like that too. And our social media, like just the private messages on Instagram, and people just want to know about the program and how they can eventually be a part of it one day.
That is absolutely fantastic. Well, we won't take up too much of your time here, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, and we sure appreciate the insight and what you guys are doing to really build up triathlon in the U.S. Definitely go check out Project Podium, and of course, you got to watch Super League Malibu coming up here. It is going to be some wicked fast racing. Is there anything you guys wanted to mention before we wrap up here at all?
Just that you got to follow Real Tri Squad too. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, this is not like, it's not normal for a guy like Nic to have a similar vision with what we're trying to do with the future of triathlon in the US. And so, like, he and I just hit it off right away because both of us are really passionate about what the future looks like here in the US. And so, like, I can't say enough about him and the Real Tri Squad being willing to now I got my 1-year-old running in the room. Yeah. Nic letting our guys be a part of this, and just investing in the future of the sport, because other than Tim Don's team having Fanny on the team, there's really not many young athletes doing Super League like this. So yeah, I just definitely appreciate you, Nic, and thanks for letting our boys be a part of this.
Yeah, they're great kids. After meeting you and how squared away you were, I knew these kids are going to be doing the dishes. They're going to be cleaning up. They're going to have good skills outside of racing, and they're pretty good. And I think the synergy between, eventually they're going to be done with Project Podium. They're going to age out. They're going to graduate, and we would love to be able to provide them with a pathway to long course or whatever distance triathlon they take on afterwards as a professional. And if we can create the next generation right now, then we're doing a good job. So I think this is starting something pretty cool.
Absolutely love to see it. And we will put links to everything in the show notes here. So if you're curious about any of them, go follow, support, help grow the sport, and encourage youth in it as well, and kind of see some of that progression. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Yep, thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Have a great night, guys.